Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where every day we explore how technology is transforming both businesses and our lives around the world. I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and I'm excited to have you join me in today's conversation because I've got a great guest. His name is Neil Bosworth, great name, so I think we're going to get on just fine there. And our guest is from Telit Cinterion, and they're the largest Western provider pioneering IoT innovation. And they've been delivering award-winning and highly secure IoT solutions, modules and services for so many of the industry's top brands for many years. But today, I want to focus a little bit more into the world of electric vehicle charging. It's a huge topic right now, but I want to learn more about what goes on under the hood, the benefits of IoT connectivity in this space, the challenges posed by downtime and connectivity issues, and why reliability is often misunderstood when it comes to electric vehicles. And we'll also discuss EV charging trends, how SIM technology is making its mark, and IoT in smart meters too. So we've got a lot to talk about, from scalable IoT connectivity solutions for electric vehicles, shedding light on exciting innovations, driving the future for sustainable transportation and beyond. But enough spoilers from me. Buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Nottingham here in the UK, where Neil Bosworth is waiting to join us today. Massive warm welcome to the show, Neil. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your podcast. I'm Neil Bosworth, and I really started life, or my professional life, I should say, as an electronic design engineer working in communications products. And then I moved into field applications engineering, which was kind of nice because I could engage directly with lots of different companies and work with a whole different multitude of projects. And then in the early part of the 2000s, I discovered this thing called machine-to-machine communication. Well, and it's a term that's gradually morphed into IoT as we know it today. And although IoT covers multiple factors and disciplines, my focus has really been on securely connecting things. So it's the connectivity portion of IoT. And today I work in strategic marketing with Telit Cinterion, where we address IoT verticals that really need secure and reliable communications.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. And one of the reasons I invited you on was to talk a little bit about the integral role of IoT in electronic vehicle charging, or EV. So how is IoT reshaping the EV charging landscape from what you're seeing? And can you explain possibly how Telit Cinterion's connectivity solutions are playing a key role in this transformation? Is there anything you can share about that and what sets your solutions apart in this rapidly evolving market?
Well, it's a good question. And clearly electric vehicles are gaining popularity worldwide, and this rising EV adoption has led for the need for a really robust charging infrastructure. And IoT, especially cellular connectivity, really needs to play an essential role in providing these reliable charging services. And why? Well, let's take a quick look at what IoT is doing in EV charging. You know, EV chargers really need to communicate to the charge point operators, back-end services via the internet. And in most cases, it's cellular connectivity that's providing this seamless internet connection between the EVSEs, or the charging stations, and the central management systems. And it makes sense because access to the cellular infrastructure is available almost everywhere, certainly on major roads and cities. And where it's not available, or where you've got multiple banks of chargers, they use a short-range communication technology and really use one charger or router that performs this cellular connection to the internet. And the data it's sending, well, it is kind of essential data. You have the remote maintenance and monitoring data to make sure the charger's working properly. There's payment data going across this cellular link. The charge point operators really need to make sure that the station's being used and it's in a worthwhile location. And then this data can send real-time information to drivers regarding availability and the location of the nearest working EV charger. And then there's really all sorts of possibilities that EV chargers can benefit from IoT. if you think of wireless hotspots, advertising, or traffic news that can be displayed on the screen. So it's a classic industrial IoT use cases with connected remote assets providing useful data to enable new enterprises. And in the case of EVs, it hopefully sort of fosters a progression to a cleaner environment. But one thing's for sure, it's critical infrastructure covering payment, transport, and energy, and it really needs connecting. And this is where Telit Cinterion plays a role. Our IoT solutions comprise of all the key building blocks and the skills to form a robust and secure connection from the EV charger to the enterprise clouds. And that really takes a thorough understanding of cellular modules, cellular networks, radio physics, network protocols, device lifecycle management, security, data handling, and a whole lot more. And that's really what we bring to the EV charging.
And you've mentioned so many benefits of IoT connectivity and each EV charging there, but I suspect there's also a few risks of downtime and a variety of connectivity challenges. So can I ask you share some of those challenges, how they can be mitigated, and how at Telit Cinterion you ensure that greater reliability and scalability? Because it's a big talking point at the moment, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's a massive talking point, and it's an infuriating situation for electric vehicle drivers to encounter a malfunctioning charging point. I think that's probably an understatement, but undoubtedly the quality of customer experience significantly influences customer loyalty. And charge point operators, they have a lot of pressure due to unreliable, sluggish, or just dysfunctional charging stations. These scenarios, they really result in revenue losses, but also damage to the reputation. And you've got to also think about the site owner, whether it be a supermarket or a cinema. It also damages their reputation as well. No one's going to go to a supermarket if the charge points don't work. Now, sometimes they're out of because the connector is broken, or sometimes the screen's been vandalized. That's quite common. But when it comes to the bits that good IoT can avoid, we really need to delve into the underlying reasons for the outages. And I mentioned a few use cases earlier. And when we consider electricity grid management, for instance, it's essential for charge points to possess real-time or nearly real-time communication capabilities. So this requirement rules out certain Internet of Things technologies like narrowband IoT, due to its inadequate real-time communication capabilities. So instead, most charge stations opt for technologies such as LTE Cat M1 or LTE Cat 1 or Cat 1 bis, or sometimes even LTE Cat 4. So embedded within the charging station is an industrial cellular communication module that interfaces with the network. And this module utilizes a SIM card with a profile, just like your mobile phone does, in almost the same way. And EV chargers, they often use a roaming SIM card, which grants access to multiple operators within a specific area. And the reason they do this is to ensure reliable connection to the network infrastructure, which mitigates the risks associated with a singleton outage or congestion issues. But the devil's in the detail, and the capability to control the connection to the infrastructure translates to a much better resilience and uptime. So Telit Cinterion clearly plays a vital role by offering SIM cards and industrial connectivity rather than consumer-grade connectivity services that bridge across the various network operators and network technologies. And then to add to this, we offer these portal-based tools to manage the connectivity of the edge devices. In this case, it's obviously the charge points. And this could involve steering the device away from one network operator to another, or even remotely altering the entire subscription in extreme use cases. But we also, to improve reliability, we also actually work with the manufacturers to help them with their hardware design strategy, how the modules work and how the modules behave and how you design with them for maximum robustness. So it's always worth talking to our applications engineers about the best design practices.
And I'm glad you mentioned SIM cards there, especially with the global push for cleaner energy and the growth of EVs. I'd love to drill down into that a little bit and bring it further to life. How are you seeing SIM technology adapting to this change and demands from drivers? And how do you at Telit Cinterion, how does that approach align with the global trends in EV charging infrastructure? Because it's a global trend, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And you're right to say that the SIM is going through a revolution right now. Yeah. With cell phones, people often switch their service provider by physically inserting or swapping the SIM card. I'm sure you've all done it. But with the introduction of the eSIM, this physical handling of the SIM card, it's not necessary. The contents of the SIM can now be downloaded and injected into a fixed eSIM, which actually looks nothing like a traditional SIM card. You wouldn't recognize it at all. And with fixed stationary industrial devices, such as an EV charger, the ability to manage the contents of this SIM has got many advantages. I mean, firstly, the eSIM really allows you to use a physically rugged form factor that looks more like any other chip on the PCB. It doesn't look anything like a SIM card, which means there's no SIM connector. And that actually leads to a much more robust and tougher design in the hardware. But also, EV charging manufacturers might have several customers, perhaps in multiple countries with different requirements for the choice of mobile network operator. Whereas in the old days, a different SIM was needed to be inserted dependent on their end customer, now they can produce equipment with one essentially blank SIM and then electronically load the mobile network operator profile during manufacture or even after the charger's been installed. And this helps reduce the product SKUs and logistical effort, and it actually makes the installation so much easier and quicker. And a third point is EV chargers are in a fixed location and they need to work. The network always needs to find them. And you can't just point them out of the window like you would with your mobile phone. So over the lifetime, the physical environment might change. A new building might appear or a new tree appear, which affects the signal quality. And network operators might merge or change, or commercial airtime contracts might creep up. So using an eSIM, it gives the charger the best chance of long-term optimal connectivity by keeping the SIM open to network operator changes over the life of the charger. So again, we've been working with eSIM for many years as an MVNO, as a virtual network operator, and as an eSIM enablement solution for over-the-air subscription management.
And it's such an exciting space to be in at the moment. And the EV market in particular is evolving incredibly fast. And I'm curious, how do you keep up to speed with that? How are you ensuring that your connectivity solutions are not only effective today, but will continue to be relevant and innovative in the future? Is there a long-term vision you can share around them?
Yeah, I can. Well, as you previously mentioned, our discussions extend somewhat beyond the eSIM subscription management.
Yeah.
They revolve around the ability to manage connectivity as a whole. However, it's really important to stay informed about how technology is advancing. So over the last few decades, we've transitioned from 2G to 3G, then 4G, now 5G, with the anticipation of, guess what, 6G in the future. So understanding the strategies adopted by global network operators regarding these technological shifts is crucial. We all need to be aware of the future issues due to potential sundowns of network infrastructure. These considerations are fundamental principles steering our market approach and the advice we give to IoT solution providers. Our aim is really to help customers create products with operational capabilities that are fit for use well into the future. And our focus isn't limited to connectivity alone. It encompasses the fusion of connectivity and hardware elements. So this convergence allows us to understand the best use of protocols that harness the appropriate signaling technologies, taking into account the technological landscape of a given country for a specific deployment. For example, if we consider the United States, plans are already underway to potentially phase out 4G infrastructure in favor of 5G standalone. Let's say this will come sometime in the mid 2030s. So should you require a guaranteed 10-year operational lifespan, opting for Category 1 LTE in the current US scenario might give you, say, 12 years or so. And by the time you've designed a product, you're going to be burning into that time. But in contrast, in Europe, this choice would likely suffice. So understanding the network planning of the operators and their technological roadmap is very important. For us, offering an array of technology is undoubtedly advantageous, but a comprehensive grasp of the network and technological evolutions allows us to create a distinct lineup of products and services. So when we combine these solutions together, we empower our customers to continue utilizing our products and services and integrating them with their designs.
And although many people listening won't currently have an EV, I suspect many will have smart meters, especially in the UK where people routinely measure their energy usage. So I suspect, again, though, that many won't automatically think about the technology behind it and how all that stuff works. So can you share any insights into the benefits that this same technology brings to both consumers and utilities every day? And also our Telit Cinterion there, you're contributing to advancements in this field as well, because it's one of those things that very often we take for granted, but don't go into how it works, do we?
No, we don't. And smart meters are a great example. They're a brilliant technology or set of technologies, and they deliver data to both utilities and consumers. They sort of serve as a critical component for improved grid management and energy efficiency, whilst promoting the all-important customer engagement. And they're kind of instrumental in paving the way for a greener future. And it's something that a lot of people don't recognize. We've now really gone beyond the use cases of the classic automatic meter reading, not needing someone to come around and read the meter. We've really gone beyond that scenario. And why? Well, smart meters gather and transmit data for grid optimization, helping grid operators manage supply and demand in near real time. They measure lots of parameters regarding the quality of supply at millions of endpoints and help with renewable energy integration. And the customers receive insights to monitor and manage their energy usage and get up-to-date information regarding consumption. And consumers also have the choice to take part in demand-side management programs, which allows the remote control of high-consuming appliances during peak periods, and that could well be an EV charger. And although they're not necessarily located in a car park or exposed to vandalism, they share many parallels to EV charging. But they're already on a huge scale with individual rollouts, typically being in the millions across water, gas, electricity, and heat. And they have a lot of alternative constraints, maybe a little bit different to EV chargers, but you can imagine with such high volume devices designed to last such a long time, you're working with a lot of design constraints. But without secure, reliable, and robust connectivity, a smart meter simply is not smart. Cellular connectivity is the technology of choice for wide area connection back to the head-end system, either directly from the meter or via some short-range communications protocol that connects to a cellular hub. And these meters are expected to live for 10 to 15 years in a house. So we need to ensure they remain connected over what is actually a technological age. You can imagine 10 to 15 years in technology is a long time. That means connectivity, device and security management combined with hardware that's secure by design. And that's what we contribute to the advancements in smart metering in this field. Millions of meters use our technology to enable smart meters to be smart.
Well, as we said earlier in the podcast, there is a huge global push for cleaner energy. And I think the growth of EVs and the role of smart readers is only going to increase. And I'd love to get you back on next year, see how this space is evolving. But before I let you go, I want to have a little bit of fun with you now, because we have a Spotify playlist. I always ask my guests if there's anything that they'd like to add to that Spotify playlist and why. So what would you like to add to that list and why?
Well, thanks for offering, because I do love a playlist. And the song I would like to add to your playlist is a song called Teenage Riot by a band called Sonic Youth.
Yeah.
See, it not only is a great song, but hidden in the lyrics, as we're talking about charging stations, is IoT in a public station. And it also contains the lyrics, IoT to get me out of bed right now. See if you can find them.
No way. I love that song. I didn't know that. I'm going to be checking that out. I love that. And more serious matters before I let you go. Of course, we're talking about a fast-moving industry here, and you guys are leading the way. So how do you keep up to speed and self-educate and adapt to the trends in almost real time? Because there is a real pressure on everyone to be in a state of continuous learning. So where or how do you self-educate to keep on top of these trends?
It's just great, isn't it? For me, it's about knowing when to stop self-educating, which you never actually do, let's be honest. But there's heaps of resources available. There's white papers, webinars, and podcasts like this, of course. So for me, I like to think of an idea or topic, do as much online research as I can, then really take a reality check with my colleagues. I'm quite lucky to work for a company with lots of very skilled people who are open to share their knowledge and opinions, and we can talk about whatever we like to talk about. But it's a case of never, ever stopping. Technology moves on very rapidly, and so do trends and politics and everything else that affects the technology. So hopefully that's answered your question. That's the best I can.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant. And for anyone listening that wants to learn more about your IoT innovation and solutions and everything from smart meters to electric vehicles, where would you like to point everyone listening?
Well, of course, we have a website, and that's really the place I would like to point everyone towards. And we have a section, actually. If you go to telit.com/EV-charging, that's a good place to start for our EV charging information.
Well, again, love chatting with you today. We covered so much, from the role of IoT and connectivity within the EV charging space, benefits of IoT connectivity, the risks of downtime, connectivity challenges, why reliability is the most misunderstood measures for EVs. Covered so much there, and we even had a chance to throw in a great killer track there by Sonic Youth. But thank you for sharing that with me today.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me onto your podcast.
Wow, huge thank you to Neil Bosworth there from Telit Cinterion for sharing his valuable insights into the world of IoT and its pivotal role in the realm of electric vehicle charging. And maybe you'll join me in listening to that Sonic Youth song there. Let's see if we can find those hidden lyrics. But if you found today's conversation as intriguing as I did, please connect with Neil. I'll put the link on the show notes, which you can find over at my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. Go to podcast. You'll find 2,500 interviews and on a wide variety of topics. So more than enough to keep you out of trouble for a few hours. And if you've got any questions or observations or things you'd like to add to today's conversation, I'm conscious we can only cover so much in a short daily podcast episode. But if you want to join me on the show, techblogwriter@outlook.com. If you want to just send me a quick message or ask me a question, you can get me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, just at Neil C. Hughes. Nice and easy to find. Don't just hit follow though. Send me a message. Tell me you enjoyed the episode or something you want to add to the conversation. We'll keep this conversation going. But that's it for today. So just a big thank you for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.